Always have good luck there. Let's see.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Dandavat Pranam. And today it looks like we are in good luck. And let's see. So who else is there on the call today? Let's see. We have Sutapa, we have Varshana and Varshana. Okay, good. And let's
Other Varshana is also there.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what it was her deities that I was talking about.
Acha, okay.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Okay, let's see.
I have never met her, but Mataji, we were doing the translations. That is how I know her.
There you go. Very good. Yes, let me see. So if you are close to a noisy environment, just remember to mute yourself. And I'm going to rename Sutapa.
Oh, I have to.
Sutapa?
Yes, Mataji.
Are you saying something?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right, good. So we will get started. We have 4 of us here. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So I see a Sanvi there. Sanvi, is that Garima or is it?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
All right, good to have you, Garima, on the call. And I'm just going to rename you because otherwise I'll keep on calling you Sanvi all the time. And Garima, do you have a copy of the Vigyapti Panchaka that I had posted on the WhatsApp group? Do you have that?
No.
Okay, it should be on the WhatsApp group. Otherwise, I'm going to share it also. It's fine. If you don't have it right now, it's okay. But just, for the future, you might want to keep it handy with you. All right, so let's get going. Welcome to the call. Those of you who are joining us here on live on Zoom, as well as those who are watching us on the Facebook page. And let's see, let me bring up and share the screens. We have started with this new prayers. I mean, they're not sort of new. We have been doing that in Silicon Valley for the longest time. But I just also wanted to make sure that, we also go and use this opportunity that we are meeting every day to memorize these verses. But we won't attack these verses with the intention of memorizing them. We will just recite them. And this is Vigyapti actually just means that, you're laying your mind bare in front of the Lord. You're putting your mind in front of the Lord and whatever is there inside, you're telling the Lord and then asking for mercy of the Lord like that. So Hare Krishna, Vidyavadu Mataji. Vigyapti Panchaka. So we will do the Sanskrit all together slowly. And I will read one line and then you can respond to the one line. We won't do the translations now. We will do the translations in the end, and I'll be asking all of you to read one translation each. Okay, and that's
Mataji. Sorry. Mataji, can you please that enlarge that a little bit for the phone?
Okay, let's see how far can I go without messing up my screen here.
Yes, Mataji, that's good.
Is it good? But
yeah.
It's not good for me here because
because the translation is going out of
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so while we are still on the verses, we'll go big. When we come to the translations, we'll go small. How about that?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Matsamo nasti papatma naparadhi chakaschana.
Matsamo
nasti papatma naparadhi chakaschana.
Parihare pilajja me kim bhruve purushottama.
Parihare pilajja me
kim bhruve purushottama.
Yuvati nam yatha yuni. Go ahead.
Yuvati nam yatha yuni.
Yunam cha yuvatau yatha.
Yuvanascha yuktau yata
Manobhiramate tadvan
मनोभिरते तत्त्वं
Mano me ramatam tvayi
मनो मे रमतां त्वयि
Bhumao skhalita padanam
भूमस्खलितोपादानं
Bhumireva valambanam
भूमिरेव वलम्बनम्
Tvayi jata paradhanam
त्वयि जातापराधानं
Tvam eva sharanam prabhu
त्वम् एव शरणं प्रभो
Govinda vallabhe radhe
गोविन्द वल्लभे रथे
Radhe
Prarthaye tvamaham sada
प्रार्थये त्वम् अहं सदा
Prarthare tvam aham sada
Prarthanaye
त्वम्
Tvam
अहं
Aham
सदा
Sada
Tvadiyam iti janatu
तदीयम् इत्यानातु
Govindo mam tvaya saha
गोविन्दो मम दयाशः
Saha
Radhe vrindavanadhishe
राधे वृन्दावनाधीशे
Karunamritavahini
करुणार्तवाहिनी
Kripaya nija padabja
कृपया निज प्रादब्ज
Dasyam
Dasyam mahyam pradiyatam
दास्यं मायं प्रदीयतम्
Dasyam mahyam pradiyatam
दास्यं मायं प्रदीयतम्
Okay, so let's go and get started with the verses. I'll zoom it out a little bit so that you can see the translations. And we will go round robin in the order of appearance. And I'd like to also welcome Dilip Bhai Patel Prabhu and Madhav Govinda Prabhu. What are you doing here? You are way above all this. But nevertheless, welcome to the call. So let's get going with Varshana Mataji first giving us the translations for the first two verses from the Vigyapti Panchaka.
Okay. O Purushottama, no sinner or offender is as bad as I am. How can I describe my shame? Just as the minds of young ladies take pleasure in young man, and the minds of young men take pleasure in the young woman, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And according to the order of appearance, then we have Sutapa Mataji, then Garima.
Just as the ground is the only support for those whose feet have slipped, you alone are the only shelter for those who have offended you.
Garima, can you read?
O Srimati Radharani, beloved Lord Govinda, this is my request. May you and Lord Govinda consider me one of your assistants.
And Preeti Radhika, welcome to the call.
Hare Krishna. O Srimati Radharani, O Queen of Vrindavan, you are a river flowing with the nectar of mercy. Please be kind to me and give me a little service at your lotus feet.
Hari Om. Okay, so we have done our morning ritual of reading from the Vigyapti Panchaka prayers, and we will get going. And let me see if anybody else joined us here. So we also have Varsha, Nana Varsha. We have two Varshas here. So Varsha, Varsha from India and Varsha from India. The Varsha we knew from long before and the Varsha we know from now. And I'm glad, Ishwari Radha Mataji, you're able to join. I know you were calling me, but I can't take the call while I'm here.
It's okay, I got it. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. And then, of course, welcome Janu Jithani Mataji as well. And Khyati has also joined us. So this is wonderful morning for me today. So we will go then and start the reading from what we do every day. And where do we read from?
Chapter
Bhagavad
1.
Gita,
Chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita. All right.
Chapter 1, all the translations.
You do all the translations. Okay, so translations coming up on the screen. And let's see if I can share, if the technology will allow me to share today. All right, and I need to share this. And you please confirm you're able to see my screen here.
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so I'm going to read the order of reading, and then you please remember the devotees who are going to go before you and the devotees who are going to after you, so that you know where your place is. So we started with Varshana Mataji, and then we had Sutapa read it, then we had Garima Mataji read it, and then I saw Preeti Radhika on my screen. I know we all have another Varshana, but she doesn't read, she just listens on the mute. And then I saw Ishwari Radha Mataji, and then I saw Khyati Mataji. And did I pick up Garima? Right, I did, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So am I missing anybody? And Khyati, are you alone, or Priya Prabhu is also there? Anyway, if he comes and joins you, then he can read with you.
Yeah, sure, Mataji.
Okay, so now you got your orders, right? Who's reading whom? Who's not reading? I've forgotten who's reading. So here's text number 1, and is it big enough?
Yes,
Yeah.
Mataji.
Okay, good. So go ahead, please. 2 verses each.
Okay. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Hare Krishna.
O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Here is the army, are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yudhana, Virata, and Drupada.
There are also great heroic, powerful fighters like Dishtaketu, Ketikana, Kashiraj, Kashiraj, Purujit, Kuntibhoj, and Saiba. There are mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamaju, the son of Subhadra, and the son of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters.
But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishwara, who are also victorious in battle.
Okay, give us this one again.
Bhurishwara.
Bhuri, and let's
Shrava.
cut it. Yeah, cut it into 3 pieces.
Okay.
Give me the first piece.
Bhuri,
And the
Shrava.
Shrava. There you go. Okay, good.
Thank you.
You have one more.
There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited.
All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into phalanx of the army. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy.
Jan, who comes up to you? Janki?
Yeah, I can go next.
Okay.
After that, the conch shell, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells.
I
And I
see
read
Suyash
next.
Prabhu has joined us. Welcome, Suyash Prabhu, and also Rohit Prabhu watching us online. Yeah, go ahead, Suyash.
Text 15. Lord Krishna blew his council called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific councils called Poundra. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his counsel, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakula and Sahadev blew the Sughosha and Manipushpaka. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, and unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, and the sons of Draupadi and others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew all blew their respective counsels.
Anybody else didn't get a chance to read? Everybody got a chance, so should I go in? Okay.
Yes.
The blowing of the different conch shells became uproarious. Vibrating both in the sky and on the earth, it shattered the hearts of the son of Dhritarashtra. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Okay, back again. Varshana Mataji, you go in, right?
Sutapa?
No, Mataji, it's you. Varsha Mataji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Hare Krishna.
Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here.
Varshana?
No, Mataji, Gorima Mataji.
Oh, sorry, Varshana went and you meant, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Next, who comes after Garima?
Okay. There, Arjuna, am I reading 25 or 26?
26.
26 here.
Okay.
Right on the
There,
top.
Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers in law and well wishers. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus.
Text
Ishwari
28.
Mataji?
Mataji, you want to pull it up a little bit?
I will.
Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning.
Janu.
I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself, and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune. O Krishna, killer of Kesi demon. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness.
O Govinda, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or if itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed in the battlefield? O Madhusudana,
When teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, father-in-laws, grandsons, brother-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of the Dhritarashtra? Should I read the next one?
Yes, please.
Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not good for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain? What should we gain if my husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen?
O Janardana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? With the destruction of the dynasty, O Krishna, the woman of the family becomes polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny.
Everybody got a chance to read
Yes, Mataji.
in this round? Okay. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated.
O Krishna, O, O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Hare Krishna.
Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Sanjay said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief.
Hari Bol. Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
So we did our chapter of Bhagavad Gita today. Okay, good. So what chapter? We were doing 15 and we didn't quite do it yesterday, right?
Yes.
And so somebody would like to summarize what we have done so far, leading up to 14.
2:14.
Yeah, yes,
Coming up
Mataji.
to, yeah. Give us a few points, one or
Yes,
two.
Mataji. In the beginning, you see, Dhritarashtra asked Sanjay that what is happening in Kurukshetra, what my sons and the sons of Pandu are, you see, they are there in the pilgrimage, desiring to fight, and what did they do? And then you see, Sanjay is describing, Sanjay has the benediction of his guru that he could see sitting with him, and that is how he could see everything, and he is telling him about what is happening in Kurukshetra. And he said that
Good.
looking over,
Very good. Let's give others also a chance. Yeah. So two
yes,
points, not more than 2 points each. Yeah.
okay, Mataji.
Thank you, Varshana.
Thank you, Mataji.
Anybody else remembers what we have been doing last 2 weeks?
Yeah, and then Duryodhan after that is so Sanjay said that Duryodhan is talking to his guru or his teacher, the following, which is he's almost giving his army a feeling of joy that yes, Pandav's army is very nicely maintained by or protected by Bhim, but we have Bhishma, and then they're all arrayed like that. So he's talking about that.
Good. And what's the name of his teacher?
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya. Okay, good. All right. Anything else we discussed? Any other points that come to your mind from what we have been talking?
And then he evaluated the strength of the other side, who all are there on the Pandava side and who all are there on his side, and how people on his side is always victorious in the battle, and they are ready to lay down their life for him.
Very good. Anything else?
And then the action begins.
Then the
No.
action begins. Yeah. Up until now,
Yeah,
they were
he
all talk.
asked to give everyone full support to grandfather Bhishma, and then Bhishma starts with the blowing the conch shell, and the action begins.
And so giving support to grandfather Bhishma was Vaishnav Seva, right? Because he's a Mahajan.
Not in this context, because he was saying it for his own benefit and not to serve Bhishma Dev.
Yeah.
Good. And then all these things started sounding, right? The conch shells and all that. Okay. And then we had the entry. Okay. So let's go into verse number 15, which is our verse for today. And whose turn is it to read?
Mataji, didn't we finish 15?
No, we finished it, but Mataji said that she will again describe it because there was some part was left.
Yeah. We haven't gone deep. Actually, 14 and 15, we need to address a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, it was my turn to read, unless Garima Mataji is back.
Garima, are you back? Are you in a position to talk? Sometimes she can't talk because of, kids around and things like that. Okay,
So
yeah.
I'll
Keep listening.
read. Panchajanyam Hrishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Pondram Dadhamo Mahashankham Bhima Karma Vrakodaraha.
Okay, so we look at two words here. This one, break it and give it to me.
Dadhamo.
Okay. And give me this one again.
Vrakodaraha.
Yeah, Vrakodaraha. All right, good.
Vrakodaraha.
All right. And then let's go and look at the synonyms. Who's next after you?
Ishwari Mataji.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Panchajanyam, the conch shell named Panchajanya. Rishikesha, Krishna, the Lord who directs the senses of the devotees. Devadattam, the conch shell named Devadatta. Dhananjaya, Arjuna, the winner of wealth. Poundram, the conch named Poundra. Dadamu, blue. Mahasankham, the terrific conch shell. Bhima Karma, one who performs Herculean tasks. Brika Udaraha, the ferocious eater, Bhima.
Yeah. So you notice over here that the word is dhanam, as in han, money, wealth, and then jaya, dhanam plus jaya, and over here it becomes dhananjaya. You see the M gets translated into N here. So that's Sanskrit language for us. Okay, good. Translation. Who's going to give us the translation?
My turn to read, Mataji. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean task, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondra.
Okay, good. So we'll stop here. We don't have to go into the purport because that's something we already discussed yesterday. But for the last verse, now what happened in the last verse? Anybody remember what happened in the last verse?
Bhishma Dev blew his conch shell. No, all the other instruments were playing.
The instruments were playing, and then but 4. All the instruments were playing before in 13. 14, what happens?
Arjuna got the chariot and blew his transcendental conch shells.
Yeah, it is the grand entry, right?
Yes.
It's a grand entry. Mehatim Syandane. So it talks about that it's a grand chariot. They are coming on Syandane is chariot, so they're coming on a grand chariot like that. And so we have to notice something over here in the previous verse was this is about the entry, and we are saying the action is becoming, and it's a big entry, right? I mean, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is coming, has arrived, he's there, right? I mean, every day we wish to see him, and now he's there. But how does he come? Does he make a grand entry like Amitabh Bachchan in Bollywood with the camera focused on him?
He comes with his chariot,
Yes.
chariot, four horses, you see.
He
So he comes in a very grand manner. He comes much more than Amitabh Bachchan.
Amitabh Bachchan.
he comes much more than Amitabh Bachchan, but he comes in a grand chariot, but he comes in a very humble position, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
What's his
A humble position is that he is the charioteer.
He's the charioteer, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
So so we have to keep that in mind that he's a charioteer. So again, going back to like why we are reading this Bhagavad Gita, we are reading the Bhagavad Gita so that we can apply things from here into our lives, right? So we have to see that
So we have to be humble.
best. Yeah, you might have the Tesla, Sorry, Radha.
But
You might have a Tesla car, but then you have to be humble, right? For all the possessions that you have. But anyway, and we also heard about how the story from Mahabharata about how Arjuna got that chariot in the first place, and the Gandiva bow, like that over there, right? So we have to remember about being humble and see if Supreme Personality could do that. And we also have to use this as to kind of like reaffirm and strengthen our faith in Krishna. That Krishna will do anything for us. All that we have to do is to become a devotee of Krishna in any of the flavors that are there, right? Sakhya, Dasya, like that. But he does. He said, "Tanteya prati janehi name bhaktya pranashyati." So he did that.
Mataji, can I give one example here, Mataji? Mataji, when I met you in the temple, that small temple we had near my daughter's house in California, I came there and Guru Maharaji came, sat down with us, and he was discussing. And I had asked you that who is this person who is sitting down with us and talking to us? He talks so nicely. And you said he is my Guru Maharaji. And that thing comes to my mind. He was so humble. And that we fallen devotees, conditioned souls, he came down and sat with us to describe. So he's such a humble and nice person.
No doubt about that. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that beautiful evening. Yeah, it was a Wednesday.
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yes, it was a Wednesday.
Thank you for sharing. And welcome also on the call, also joining us on the call are we have Shraddha-devi Dasi, we have Sonia there. I'm so glad Sonia Mataji you were able to join us, and we have Divyanam Prabhu watching us from United Kingdom. So awesome! Wow, that's amazing. So let's go and dig a little bit deeper into the verse that we have today, right? So we had talked a little bit about that yesterday, but not quite enough. And of course, it's never enough to be discussing verses from the Bhagavad Gita, right? So, and going back a little further, because I think we got very excited. And one of the things to keep in mind is about Mahabharata, is that Mahabharata is war. So it's boat of passion, a lot of, passion and action and, emotions are there. And then inside of the Mahabharata is the Bhagavad Gita. So just as you can see that you have a walnut, it's got a hard core inside, hard inside, but then inside you get the goodness, the real walnut is inside, right? So that's where we need to focus on, and that's the Bhagavad Gita. And so we hear about the conch shells and tatha sankascha bhairyasya panavanak gomukha and all that. So we keep on hearing all that, but and we get excited. Of course, they were meant to excite people. It was meant to draw out the passion in the people. Otherwise, how will you go to war? And so again, going back into how are you going to apply that in our lives? So we have to be cognizant, and this is a constant message that Dasharika Prabhu has been giving us in all these lectures, and more so in the past few weeks, is that you have to be cognizant of the vibrations you surround yourself with, right? And if you surround yourself with dungdubis and agdungdubis and things like that, then you'll go into the mode of passion. But try to surround yourself with vibrations that will raise you to the mode of goodness, right? Sattvam, and then from goodness, such as satyam, then you'll go to the higher states, satyam, vishuddham, like that. So you have to raise yourself to that mode of goodness. And then we see again a little more action is there in 14, where we see this Mahati Sandane Sato Madhava Pandavas Jeva. So the big chariot, huge, beautiful golden chariot with 4 beautiful white horses are there. Then they come like tick, 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 tick. They're coming there. And then, but we see like, oh, where is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And we learn this lesson of, humility from there. Because, and why do we think it's humility? After all, we also drive our cars and we also take our friends around. We have to remember that when the war has started, and as such, there's a lot of sound vibrations that have started, a lot of noises there, right? This is bugles are blowing and gomukhas are blowing and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, when they're fighting, they will also make sounds from their own mouth. Also, the warriors will take out those kind of noises as well. So in a war, it's difficult to communicate in the sense that people won't hear you. And so when the warrior has to give indications to the chariot driver that take the rath to the right hand side, take the rath to the left hand side, right? And he's also busy with drawing out his quivers and is aiming and shooting and things like that. So how does he communicate? He takes his
thumb.
Takes his foot and thumbs it on the back of the chariot driver. So this is what Arjuna is doing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead has
Mataji, once this sentence say once again, Mataji. There was I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. So I was saying that when a person is driving, somebody else's chariot, somebody is a chariot driver, how does he get instructions from the warrior on the chariot? The instructions are passed by the warrior putting his foot, like kicking from the back and telling him, like, kicking on the right hand side, you have to take the chariot to the right. Kicking on the left, you have to take the chariot to the left, like that. So the personality of Godhead has agreed. So look at the humility that he's subjecting to. Otherwise, like we get a little thing and we get messed up in our lives, right? But here, Krishna is there as the chariot driver. He'll do anything for his devotees. So we had talked about that this chariot was capable of going over any of the 3 worlds, right? The top planets, the middle planets, and the lower planetary systems, like that, right? And then now here on this battlefield, now we going now into verse number 15, right? And what does verse number 15 tell us? Panchajanyam. So now they're going into more action. Panchajanyam Rishikesho, Devadattam Dhananjaya, Pandam Dadmo Mahashanka, Bhima Karma Vrakodara. Right? So now let's go and see. So we talked a little bit about Rishikesh, right? Panchajanyam Rishikesh. Now they're addressing Krishna by different names. And so what does Rishikesh mean?
Master of the senses.
Rishikesh.
Master of your senses.
Controller of the senses.
Right? So Rishik means senses, and Isha means controller or master of the senses, right? And here's the thing about the senses. You see how our senses get controlled in a very subtle way, right? For example, we have knowledge acquiring senses, and we have got working senses, Gyanendriya and Karmendriya, right? So the most voracious is the tongue, right? And we like to eat. We all like to eat. Now, when you sit down to eat, how much can you eat? Right? And Prabhupada in one of the lectures says that even if you become a millionaire, if you're eating 4 chapatis before, you'll only be able to eat 4 chapatis. It's not that because you can have 1,000 chapatis because you can buy them, right? And these days, even if you're a millionaire, you can't even buy chapatis because nothing is on the shelves. About eating, it is like, how much can you eat, right? Then it comes about smelling, right? Okay, let's look at the smell, sense of smell. So how much can you smell? Right, so we're like, okay, I'm going to put down some nice, perfume, plants and beautiful, nice smelling perfume, nice flowers, and those white flowers like that. And then, so we have got olfactory nerves and buds in our nose, which helps us to, smell. And then what happens, when you put on a perfume on yourself, and then you go to office, and others are saying like, wow, very nice smell, and you're like, huh? I smelled it in the morning, but I don't smell it any longer. And the reason for that is that you have these olfactory nerves, they get what is known as olfactory fatigue. So after some time, you are unable to distinguish that, that this is a different order which is there on me, like that. But if you look at the ear, right, and Vaishnavi Prabhu says, like, look at your ear, they're shaped like a funnel, right? So they are shaped like that to acquire things. So you can, there is no limit to how much you can pour in your ears, right? You can keep on pouring, keep on pouring. The choice is yours. And that's why I said that you have to be careful about the vibrations that you surround yourself with. So what are you letting to go into your ears? Because what goes into your drains to your heart, right? Now, when it is mundane, topics that get into inside your ears, then yes, there still can be a limit to how much you can take. Sometimes you're like, I can't hear it any longer like that. No, give me no more. This is too much for me to hear. So with mundane, it can happen that you can get full. But when it comes to transcendental topics, and that is where Krishna comes and controls you, there is no limit to that. Hari Anant, Hari Katha Ananta, right? Like we start this Katha in the morning and we don't want to leave and go, we just want it to continue, and go down, right? So when you want to hear, when you hear Krishna's katha, then then it's going to enter from your ear. It goes into the drain of your heart, and it drains into the heart bay of your heart, and then that it'll shake your heart, and all the dust which is there will will just go away. And then after that, when the dust goes away from your heart, then you start developing a nice relationship with Krishna. And there's a very beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which I thought I'll just bring it up here today and share it with you. It is from the Srimad Bhagavatam second canto, and it's the 8th chapter and verse number 5. And I'll very quickly start sharing that with you so that we can all relish that verse together. And it says, Pravishtaha karna randhrena swanam bhava saroruham dhunoti shamalam krishnaha salilasya yata sharat. And what does it mean? It is saying that the sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee. And look at the beauty of this poetry. Sits on the lotus flower of his relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, just as lust, anger, and hankering, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. See? So this is such a beautiful thing about how the sound incarnation of Krishna is going to affect you. So even if it's a conch shell that Krishna is blowing, right? But if you are a devotee, then you will hear something else happening from there. And then the next verse is also very beautiful, that 2.8.6. And let it come up here. So now that the sound and vibrations have entered into your ear, they are cleansing. So dhat atma. So you are cleansing. I'm dho raha hu, bartan dho raha hu, kapde dho raha hu, right? So dhat atma purusha Krishna padamulam namunchati mukta sarva pariklesha pantha swa sharanam yatha. So what happens here? It says that a pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. So I wanted to just emphasize this part on you, that when we say Rishikesha, right? So he's controlling our senses, and he's Govinda, he gives joy to our senses. This is how this happens. This is how the control happens on you. And till this happiness of, listening to these verses goes so much that you have listened so much of the Krishna Katha that you then want to speak it out to people. You want to distribute that to others and go back and say, hey, okay, I heard that was a very nice verse, and I'm going to tell it to my mom, to my brother, to my sister, and so on. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a very nice quotation, and actually there's a very nice, they quote a verse there, which is actually coming from Vidagdha Madhav, a play that was written by Rupa Goswami. And there he's saying that, and it's a beautiful verse, and I'm going to sing that to you. Tunde tandvani ratim vitanute tundavali labdhaye karna krud kadambani ghatayate Karna Bhubedya Cheta Prangana Sangani Vijayate Sarvendriyanam Kritim No Jane Janita Kritaptiramrite Krishne Tivarnadvai. So then it translates to, and it's very beautiful. It says, I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krish and Na, Krishna, have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. So look at that. You cannot be satiated. Now Krishna is controlling your tongue also. Now you want more tongues. When the name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears so that we can hear more. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind. And therefore, all senses become inert. So all these senses which are going towards, this is the material senses will become inert. And then your transcendental senses will come out. And as one of you had pointed out while we were reading this yesterday, that Krishna was controlling the transcendental senses of Arjuna, right? So Arjuna is at that level over there. I just wanted to mention that, this is Sanjay speaking. This looks like a simple verse that we can just go over and, all right, fine, there's an entry happening and they're just describing, so what did Krishna blew? Oh, he blew his conch shell. Okay, I'll memorize what he blew. But then behind all this, there is, again, so much of depth that you can get into the Bhagavad Gita there. So, Rishikesha, right? And then let's go and look a little bit more, right? So Panchajanyam Rishikesha Devadattam Dhananjaya. So Panchajanyam Rishikesha Devadatta Dhananjaya. So why is Arjuna called Dhananjaya? And we read that yesterday.
Because he collected a lot of wealth for Yudhishthir.
Okay, very
for
good.
one of the Rajsuya yagas.
Yes, very good. And when did the Rajsuya Yaga happen?
When they had got that really sad part of the land, and then they used Mayadana to build up the place, and just said that we should do Rajsuya Yag to establish his supremacy.
Yeah, so that was one Rajsuya Yagya. Yudhishthira did a lot. But for that, did Arjun collect the money? For which Rajsuya Yag did Arjun collect the money?
Oh, I'm not.
Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'll give it to you. Srimad Bhagavatam will tell you that. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, everything is over. It starts with, Parikshit Maharaj and all that. It starts with sages of Naimisharanya, and they're saying now that Krishna has gone back. So this is much happening historically much later. And there we talk about that when all this Mahabharat war had happened, how so many people were dead, right? 64 crores, Prabhupada says in one of his lectures. And so 64 crore people are dead. So Yudhishthir starts feeling very bad about it in his heart because he's a devotee at heart. So he says, because of me, because I wanted that emperorship, so because of me, so many people died. So he's feeling very bad. So he wants to bring in the good vibrations. And to bring in the good vibrations, he then goes and asks Arjuna to collect some money because every yagya requires money. So then Arjuna goes and collects the money. And that is why he's known as Dhananjaya. But the question here is that if that is something that happened much later, why is Sanjay addressing him as Dhananjaya now? This is in the middle of, this is the beginning of the Mahabharata, right? He collected the money later on, right? So we have to remember that he was not named Dhananjaya at the time that he collected the wealth, and which is at that time, right? So this is just his pastime that he's doing that, he's collecting the wealth and all that. And these pastimes, for this particular pastime of Arjuna, where he goes and collects the wealth, and from where did they collect the wealth? He actually collected the money from because there was no money actually. The war had consumed a lot of money, and after that, after the war was over, they were good administrators because he took care of the widows. Can you imagine how many widows were there with nobody to earn for them? So they had to take care of them. So Kunti and Draupadi, they were also engaged. I mean, just like how women these days are engaged, they are making, making the mask for the doctors and those who don't have masks because they're out of there. They're cooking food to take to people and things like that. So similarly, there also there was a lot of such welfare activities that were going on. I mean, Draupadi and Kunti, they used to engage women who were widowed into activities so that they could generate their own income and things like that. So there was a lot going on, but money was not plentiful. But still, at that time, when people used to do small yajnas and small things at their homes, they used to give money to and gold to the brahmanas as dakshina, and the brahmanas used to take whatever they were required, like food and clothes, but they didn't have anything to do with gold because gold is not good. And Kali resides there. But anyway, Kali had not yet arrived, Kali Yuga, but still the shadows of Kali were there. And so they used to throw, and can you believe this? They used to throw away the gold in the dustbins, in the trash cans. And because this was something that was already given to the Brahmanas, other people would not pick it up also. Right? But for a better cause and for a greater cause, Arjuna went and picked it up. And so he collected that money. It happened at a much later stage. But this pastime of Arjuna going and picking up the money and collecting the money for Yudhishthir, it is actually just making that a prominent thing. Otherwise, the name Dhananjaya for Arjuna was there all along. And there's a pastime, and I don't recollect that very properly there, but it's a pastime to do with Virat and when Arjun becomes Brihanala and he's going that disguised and is teaching Uttara, at that time somebody wants him to establish his identity that you are really Arjuna. And so he says, okay, if you're really Arjuna, then give me all the names of Arjuna. So Arjuna then starts reciting all the names by which he's known as. And at that time, he uses the name Dhananjaya. So the name of Arjuna is Dhananjaya. Arjun was known as Dhananjaya even before the war started, right? But see how this pastime is actually bringing out and making that particular thing prominent there. So, and see how Sanjay is using, words and how he's using these names and even predicting things that's going to come, sort of predicting things that are going to come much further on. So then I'm just, maybe we might not be able to go into all the details of this today as well, and we can continue that tomorrow. But let's go and get into the conch shell. So what's the name of the conch shell for Krishna? Panchajanya, right? So Panchajanya, and so we know that there are certain things that are engaged in the battle. So they came in a chariot. So we know that the chariot is there. And then who gave the chariot? Who gave the chariot?
Agni.
Agni. And who did Agni? Who did Agni ask the chariot to be brought?
Varuna.
Okay. Yeah. So Varuna had brought it from the depths of the ocean. He had brought that, and also the Gandiva bow. And then the conch shell of Lord Krishna. So it's a very nice story, and that is that Krishna's teacher, spiritual master. Who is Krishna's spiritual master? Sandipani Muni, right? Sandipani Muni. So Sandipani Muni, his son, so there was a demon by the name, he was a demon called Panchajanya, and then he actually had stolen Sandipani Muni's son, and I may be wrong on the demon's name, but anyway, and so he took his son, and then this demon used to live underneath the ocean. That's where he was. So he took him with him to the depths of the ocean. And so Sandipan Muni tells his student Krishna that go and get my son. So then Krishna goes to the depth of the ocean, and there he kills this demon. And this demon had a conch shell. And Krishna takes that conch shell from him and uses that conch shell to glow. Right. So another thing to keep in mind over here is that, and that conch shell was called Panchajanya. So Krishna has this Panchajanya. So Panchajanya Rijikesha, right? So control of the senses is using the conch shell. Now Krishna, expands and becomes Vishnu, and so many other expansions. One of his expansions is Vishnu. Now what is Vishnu? And when Krishna descends from in the form of his avatar, then all his other expansions also descend with him to this material world, right? Yada dadahi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So he comes down with the whole paraphernalia and his troops. So Vishnu also comes, with Krishna. You might not be able to see him separately, but he's there. So now when Vishnu is coming there, So Vishnu has got, what does Vishnu hold in his hands? In his
He
four
has got 4 hands.
Shankha and club.
He has got Shankha, he has got club. What else does he have?
Club,
Lotus
chakra,
flower.
Lotus
club.
flower and one book, Vedas.
Vishnu, in the most common form, what does he have?
Mataji, one chakra, conch shell,
Gada is missing.
Gada and Padma, right? Like those of you go
Gada
to,
and Padma.
we have got
Gada and Padma.
a name like that, right? Gada building, Padma, Shankha, like that. So Lotus building, Shankha. So Vishnu has got the Shankha, right? Vishnu has got the Shankha, he's got the chakra. So you see, Krishna has got the chakra. He showed it, right? Several times in this pastime. But sometimes what he does is he just makes his pastimes more interesting. I mean, he has a conch shell, but then he'll have this whole nice story of, no, I'm going to get the conch shell from Panchajanya, and I'm going to use that. So that's the conch shell that is there. Interesting thing about Panchajanya and Dhananjaya, right? Panchajanya is the name of the conch shell that Krishna blew, Panchajanyam Rishikesha. And then Devadatta Dhananjaya, Devadatta, right? So from where did he, Devadatta is that conch shell that Arjun has got, right? And Devadatta means the Deva has given him that conch shell. Some Devta has given him that conch shell. So that's why he gets that conch shell. So Panchajanyam Rishikesha, Devadatta Dhananjaya. And Panchajanya and Dhananjaya. So Panchajanya is the conch of Krishna and Dhananjaya is the name of Arjuna. But Panchajanya and Dhananjaya are also actually, the live airs, the prana vayu that we have. We talk about the live air that blow. I mean, superficially or in a gross sense, we know that the air that goes through our nostrils is the prana vayu, but then it's not just that air. There are the 5 kinds of life airs that we have, right? We have pran, apan, saman, udan, like the belches are there, the gas that goes out, we expel from our body, like that. So there are different kinds of airs, and then there are some subtle airs as well, which is like, the air that there is some air that makes your eyelids blink and things like that. So there are 10 airs actually, and Srimad Bhagavatam goes into details of that. But this is not a Bhagavatam class, it's Bhagavad Gita. But I just wanted to mention that Panchajanyam and Dhananjaya are also, the names of 2 of those 10 life airs that we have in our bodies, like that. So Panchajanyam Rishikesha, Devadatta Dhananjaya, Pondram Dambho Mahashanka, Bhima Karma Vrakodara, right? So here we have, and then more conch shells will be talked about, but then there was a question yesterday also about Bhim, Pandram Dadmo Mahashankha. So Bhim's Shankha is called Pandram, and we are saying Pandram Dadmo Mahashankha. So we're talking Maha, right? So he's talking Maha, and Maha means terrific, and Prabhupada translates that as, terrific. And then, so terrific, it means, of a great size or a great amount, the terrific word is used for that, right? It can also mean, good or excellent. It can also mean causing terror. So we know that Bhim himself is big in size, and then Bhim is holding a shank. His shank also is big in size. So this Pandram is a shank of a big size. So whenever he's going to blow that, it's going to cause terrors amongst the hearts of other people. And Bhima is very, very strong. There's a very nice instance of Bhim that we come across in the story of Mahabharata, and that is when they were in the forest, and Pandavas always seem to be always in forest, and then Kunti Maharani is there with this child, and that Kunti and Pandu were not having children, and she had to go and get these children from the Devtas, and he's from Pavan, and so she was kind of dozing, but the child was in her arms, and next to her husband Pandu was also lying down. It was afternoon. And so the little dozing was happening, the little sleep was coming, and then suddenly a lion roared. And because of the roar of the lion, then Kunti Maharani kind of, she started like that. And the child fell from her hands, and she was on a cliff, and the child goes down and starts falling down. So she just, shouts like only a mother can shout. And of course that wakes up her husband, and he sees that, and he starts dashing down. And all the while, both of them are praying that I hope the child is safe and hope nothing has happened, because there are boulders and stones and all that stuff over there. And then they see that, Bhim goes and falls on a boulder, a huge boulder which is there. And guess what? The whole boulder is smashed to pieces and nothing happens to Bhima. So that's going to give you an idea of how strong Bhim is. And he's also, running this, he's blowing this particular conch shell there. And so there's a little, there are two more points that I wanted to just mention, and I'll wrap it up really quickly because I know it's 7:30 in the morning. And then this is Bhima Karma Vrikodaraha. So my question to you is that Panchajanyam Rishikesha. So we got the name for Krishna. And then we have the name for Krishna also, right? For Arjuna also, right? And Dhananjaya. Then what is the name that is being used for Bhim over here? What is Bhim called in this verse?
Bhima Karma, which is performer of Herculean tasks.
Look at the verse again.
Vrikodara.
Vrikodara, exactly. He's being addressed at Vrikodara. Now, Vrik in Sanskrit means a wolf. And Udar means stomach, right? The belly. So Vrikodara means one who has the belly like a wolf. Now we say sometimes in our life, right? We say that, what do we say? I'm smashed, I'm hungry as a wolf. So wolves are known for their voracious appetite. So when we are saying Vrik means wolf, then one might just think that to compare, like we normally compare people with lotus and swans and deer and things like that, or a lion maybe, but like wolf, it might look like on the face of it that we are addressing, that Sanjay is addressing and using a bad word for Bhim, but it's not like that. I mean, he really had a good appetite, and he's kind of like admiring his appetite. And he's admiring his appetite, and there's again a nice story over there, and that is that we have when Draupadi was there, and they had one Draupadi in the Swamvar, and so they were all living together. And so when the instructions were given to so they had married, they had married, Arjuna had won the Swamvar, we know that. And then we know that they had come back, and they had, in a matter of jest, they had said, oh, we have brought the arms. And the mother Kunti from inside, without even looking, said, okay, distribute it among yourself. And then when she came out and she said, oh, but this was the wife they were talking about. But then they ended, all of them were married, right? So this Titim, who is Kunti's sister, he was kind of curious to know, what's the type of family that my sister got married into. So he just goes there to where they were living. They were living in a small cottage. And so he starts to watch them through the window. And then, of course, this Draupadi is newly married, and the way to the heart is through the stomach. So she's asking her mother-in-law that, how do I serve the Pandavas? How do I serve my husbands? And so the Kunti Maharani says, okay, now they were in the forest, so they would collect alms, right? Gather alms, and then from that alms, they would eat whatever they got. So Kunti tells her daughter-in-law that whatever you collect as alms, you divide it into two. And divide it into two, half you give to Bhim. And for the other half, you make it into 6 pieces. And then we all will eat that. So you can imagine, that's Bhim's capacity. But he's not making fun of Bhima, because right alongside saying, he is Vrikodara, he is also, and as Preeti Radhika pointed out, he is Bhima Karma. So here the word Bhim, is not just addressing, is not using as a noun, right? It is used as an adjective to describe the word karma. So Bhim Karma, right? And how is Bhim Karma translated in our verse?
Herculean task.
Herculean tasks, right? He's a performer of Herculean tasks, and he does perform Herculean tasks, right? I mean, and right from his childhood, he would do that, right? Even when they were in Agyatva, there was some, there was an incident where he wanted to kill somebody, and he didn't have anything, so there was a big sal tree, and he wanted to, take that tree and use that to kill, and then Yudhishthir had to tell him, no, don't do that, because if you break this tree, everybody will recognize that you are Bhim, right? So don't do anything like that. So he will do things like that, carrying people, and we see his might. I mean, just he himself had killed the Kauravas, right? I mean, Arjuna is a bigger warrior than Bhima, but Bhim doesn't need anything. He can just take, and he doesn't need any weapons. He can just take anything that comes in handy, and then he can just go and kill that. So I just thought that we should appreciate that a little bit also, and then keep on applying these verses also into our real life. So think about these things, about the Herculean tasks of Bhima, and think about his Vakrodara, the capacity of eating so much, and how do we apply that into our lives. And too much prasadam, and then of course, like I mentioned yesterday, after prasadam, be ready to do the dishes also, like that. So I will call it a day today because we are way beyond our time. Any last reflection? I'll take one reflection now before we switch off from the call. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, then please, you can type it and let me know.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
The one reflection I have is that how you were saying that Krishna, he becomes a chariot driver. And for us, how we should look at that is that, he's very humble. He's God. He's like, supreme, the Almighty. But he's not requiring all that attention, He doesn't need that attention. But so we should also be like that.
Very good. Very well. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Keep these nice words of Krishna in your mind and in your words and in your deeds. Hare Krishna, and you have a wonderful
Thank you so much, ma'am.
well, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.